Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a game that released not that long ago, and without much fanfare at first. Flying under my radar, I almost completely missed it, being too distracted at first with the shadow drop of Oblivion Remastered. But with all the post-launch excitement online and everyone talking about it, in addition that I've not enjoyed a classic turn-based RPG in quite some time, the curiosity got the better of me, and I'm glad it had. But before we get stuck in, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone watching, especially our subscribers. Welcome to another episode of Neon City Gaming Highlights.
Dim, dam, dalilam, vacarme, s'en va dans l'oubli éternel. Et Gustave, Dom Guardiam, dilim, dididididam, lutessera dolidam, seram. Dim, dim, da, 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 dim, dim, da, 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 dim, da, di, dam. Dim, dim, da, 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 dim, dim, da, 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 dim, da, di, dam.
Where to begin? I suppose at first, if you haven't heard of what the game is, let's do a short little rundown. The game is a turn-based RPG developed by a small team of ex-Ubisoft developers, in addition to some extras from Reddit, I believe. It's set in an alternative world where a goddess called the Paintress, who, for whatever reason, each year repaints a number on a far-off monolith, descending each time, and in turn, snapping anyone above that age. It started at 100, and we're well past the halfway mark. I do want to give warning spoilers for the beginning of the game. We won't get any major spoilers, but we will spoil a bit at the beginning. So if you do want to avoid any spoilers at all, go to this timestamp. So every year on the day she shows up to change the number, a celebration of sorts is thrown for all those who have their grammage, i.e. the aforementioned snap. And afterwards, whatever volunteers for the expedition are giving a little go-away party. Though it's not as nice as the grammage. Before setting off to try and solve this major issue, the game starts on the end of 34, with the main character, age 33, to meet up with his ex-girlfriend, 34. Today, unfortunately, is their last day together. And you get to spend it exploring the main town and interacting with various people, saying their various goodbyes, and trying to come to terms and make a tragic day the best they can. Thankfully, I went in blind to this game, so I was hit with the full breadth of emotions during the opening moments, leading right up to the moment I knew was coming, yet I still couldn't stop myself from becoming emotional, and even crying when the bittersweet moment came to pass. Afterwards, without much time to gather yourself after what happened, you get to sit and have your going away party with all who are going on the expedition with you, and a few who actually cared to show up and see you off. And finally, when that time comes, you're filled with hope that your team is going to be the one to save the day.
Expedition 33.
That is, until landfall, and it's almost like landing on the beaches of Normandy. You're ambushed from the moment you set foot off your ship, and most of the squad is decimated before your very eyes. During the skirmish, you fall unconscious and wake up on another area alone and trying to make your way back to anyone to see if anyone's left alive. That is, until you stumble upon a pile of corpses, with a few being your crew. And without much left to do in this world, after seeing his team destroyed, slaughtered before his very eyes, and not much of his psyche left remains, Gustav decides to end it. End of major spoilers, and what an opening hour or so of an RPG. I can't think of one in recent memory that hooked me the way this one did. Not only is the art style and the character designs a joy to look at, it's also not afraid of showing any blood and some serious topics or even people getting eviscerated. Which does make me wonder, why was Square so afraid to do Final Fantasy VII Remake any justice in that regard? In addition to the fantastic art design, you also get a nice mashup of steampunk, French, and fantasy. And although the game is heavy on the subject matter out from the gate, it doesn't forgo some lighthearted moments here and there during the interactions with the party or NPCs without going too far into the absurd or awkward. The characters themselves are for the most part rounded and fleshed out instead of being too one note as of this writing. I am at the end of Act 1, so it could change down the line, but it would cause some whiplash if that were the case. As far as gameplay goes, it's turn-based RPG in the vein of a Persona or Lost Odyssey, with each character having their own style and combo to build up, with some action-oriented defense such as dodging and countering as seen in the old Mario RPG in the 7 stars, or Paper Mario, the first one. While that can put off some people more used to the slower paced combat of more traditional RPGs, boss fights can be a bit tricky at first, depending on your skill at reading the enemy's attacks. Not saying I'm an expert in any means in that regard. Being a fan of countering in games, I almost always want to try that route, and also not reading that some attacks can only be defended against or dodged rather than parried. But when you are able to trigger it all flawlessly, it feels so badass, and some fights can last mere seconds depending on your turn order and equipment. You can punch well above your level class if you're quite good at it, or you can do the timeless tradition of grinding and leveling to overcome the obstacle. Although it can be frustrating getting one shot, thankfully it provides checkpoints after each encounter, thus preventing you from having to backtrack way too much, so long as you got into a fight or hit one of those checkpoints recently. So if you do have more than 3 party members in your party, you can use the remaining members as a backup force to try and finish off the boss or battle before a complete reload, which is very nice. I like that addition. The map is broken up into zones with an overworld map that is unlocked once you're out of the beginning, showing you that you can still provide classic overworld without much compromise. Besides gameplay and aesthetics, the music also fits really beautifully into this world. I've been listening to the soundtrack as I write this script on Apple Music. Yeah, the audio is very fantastic. I have it saved to my playlist, or to my library. So what negatives, if any? Well, there's the active counters, as I alluded to before, that may hinder some. I would say the large complaints that I've had so far is the lack of any sort of map for these zones themselves. Thankfully there's one for the overworld, but it would be really nice to have one for the inside of each level, just while you're exploring, because although exploring can be fun, with the length of most games now is averaging 30, 50 or more hours, and so many releases per year, any bit of quality of life is nice to have for those of us with less time per game session. Otherwise, I can't think, as of now, anything that jumps out to me to drag this game down, and although I'm a third of the way through, I still look forward to playing more and more as a person who's grown up during the heyday of JRPGs. I did miss playing the genre, and it was a nice breath of fresh air, especially after the disappointment of the remake for Final Fantasy VII that me and my sister and others have had major issues with. And no other contemporary RPGs really have grabbed me in the way this one has. So there you have it. In my opinion, and I know FlowDrive shares a lot of the sentiment in this video, it's a fantastic game worth checking out if you're all curious or into turn-based RPGs, and nothing I've said so far has put you off. I doubt you'll be disappointed, and if you're like me and unable to purchase the game fully, it is on Game Pass, and that's where I've been playing it. Anyways, thanks for watching and listening to me gush about this game. I hope you enjoyed your time. Peace.